Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Racha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And another article here, just to highlight a bit of this madness that's going on, right? Which I found kind of interesting, but it's really good. It's really good because it highlights the behavior that we have been calling out, for a long time now. What you'll realize is that there are a lot of people here in the country that walk about like normal folks, right? A great deal of of them being, women, because there are a lot more women that you see walking around doing this kind of stuff, but they walk around as they're normal. But as we tell you, a lot of these people actually have, demons on them. Okay. And sometimes it just takes the right trigger before you start to see it come out of them, and then you start to see that, wow, these people really are, anyway, something else. So I'm going to read this real quick. This is an interesting article, similar along the lines of the video I did on that whole 4B movement thing. But here you have people saying, right, you read the headline, Yale psychiatrist, Harris voters may need to cut off friends and family members. All right. And something that I find particularly interesting about this is that the reverse, right, would not necessarily be the same. Like if you were to be in an alternate scenario where what these people want actually ended up happening, they would not be reacting in this, way, or at least be sympathetic or empathetic to the other side. And in essence, what this is to say you shouldn't have, and this is, one side looking at another, you shouldn't have an opinion on this matter if it's something that I don't agree with, right? Because they're saying they want to, the psychiatrist here is saying you should cut off your friends and family because they voted for a party that you didn't vote for. You guys had, let's just say, different political views, but they're in essence not entitled to have their own political views because of how it affects you. But what about the vice versa, right? What about how your political views affect them? That part doesn't matter. See, and that's what you see here. It's like brats, that don't get what they want. Like a spoiled child doesn't get what they want, and now they're losing their minds. Now, when you really look at this, the majority, in terms of a gender demographic here, right, is women, right? That are going on and on about this, blowing things out of proportion. But like we keep saying, man, you worried about this. There's much bigger problems coming your way, because the things that some of them, even in here, you'll see, right? Somebody mentions they fear that the Handmaid's Tale or Handmaid, or however the title of the movie is, but it's going to become reality now. Look, that kind of dystopian future was always going to become a reality, whether Kamala was in office, whether Trump was, and that's what people fail to realize. So let's read a little bit of this here. I think you'll find it pretty interesting. It says here, women pledging to break up with their boyfriends and divorce their husbands over the Trump victory. Yale University chief psychiatrist resident Dr. Amanda Calhoun is advising that it may also be necessary for your mental health to cut off your family and friends who supported Trump. See, so this country has conditioned people to be so, childlike, in the sense that people don't know how to accept rejection or disappointment or any of those kinds of things. And they're conditioned to dwell on a matter because all these things, okay, what happens if you cut off your family? What happens if you divorce your husband? You got kids with him, but you divorce him and you leave your boyfriends and whatever the case is, right? And you notice, right? It's a lot of it is from the perspective of women. So what happens if you go ahead and do all this? Society starts to get worse and worse. And then you find out life is now becoming more and more difficult for you. Guess what? That man could go on and find another woman. But what are you going to do? You cut off your family and friends. The economy is getting hard. Now, say you lose your job or whatever, right? Maybe you went and overreacted at work because your emotions got out of hand. And then you went and cursed out your manager because you found out he was a Trump supporter. Now you lost your job. Eventually, when times get hard enough, what are you going to do? You know? What are you going to do? And that's the interesting part that we're going to see. You know, there's a big U-turn coming. You know, and guess what, man? Imagine a scenario where a woman has, I don't know, she's been with her husband for X amount of years and they have kids, and then she starts going on and on about this, and then she leaves. And then maybe some time goes on, and then the husband finally manages to like deal with it and move on, right? With the kids and everything. What do you think happens when now time gets tougher than her feelings and her anger, and now she needs help and she's trying to come back? Do you think that he's just gonna be there? Hey, yeah, definitely open arms. Come on in here. You did some bullshit over some bullshit, but come on in here because everything is all sweet. No. So a lot of people here are really setting themselves up for failure, and they'll see soon enough. It says here, in that way, you can avoid being quote unquote triggered by opposing political views, much like Yale itself. As academics, we are dealing with the election on campuses across America. After the election, I had some valuable discussions with students who supported Harris and some who supported Trump. I wish there would be more interaction between the two groups. But you know what this is doing? This is definitely highlighting that division, right? Isaiah 19 and 2, right? Setting the Egyptian against Egyptian, because now it's to the point where one people, right, are coming against another, irregardless of whether they're family or friends or whatever the case is. Matter of fact, something that just came to mind here too is it's that second Esdras 6, I believe is around 24. All right, it mentions here, right, at that time shall friends fight one against another. Now this is going into, you know, in this time when all these tokens or these signs of the end times would be taking place. All right, and it says here, shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. And we're in those times. Okay, now you're gonna have certain difficulties that are gonna cause people to split, to come against each other for survival, X, Y, and Z. But if people are willing to go their separate ways over political views or whatever the case is, how much more for when it actually comes down to life and death, right? It says the springs of the fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. Yeah, and eventually when that happens, there's going to be a lack of water, right? That's also mentioned in Isaiah 19. As you keep on reading that, it talks about the droughts, right? The lack of water, which is also going to cause more and more trouble and stress. Where we at? I wish there would be more interaction between the two groups. That is why this story stood out to me. I do not believe that further separation or isolation will help this country or these individuals. Well, these people seem to think otherwise. Dr. Calhoun went on MSNBC's Joy Reid, and I mean this one here is just, I mean, just look at that. Look at that. Of course you're gonna say some shit like that. To offer the curious take on good mental health. See, when all hell breaks loose, people like this, man, don't even come looking. Don't come looking our way. You know, do not come looking our way. Okay? Because if you running, whoever you running away from, we're gonna tell them that you right here. If it's troops, gang, right there. Anyway, Reid has spent the week condemning the majority of voters, particularly minority voters, in the nation as racists and misogynists for the Trump victory. See, so this is the thing about it. It's kind of like the I forgot what fallacy it is that this sort of ties to, right? But there's this tactic that people tend to use in these kinds of situations where they'll say, for example, these people, you have a lot of people that would say, we don't like, I don't know exactly what it is that Kamala has promised. Okay, she may not have promised X, Y, or Z great things, but I do know that she's better than Trump. And then they start to list all the things they don't like about him, right? I don't agree with this. He wants to do this, he wants to do that, X, Y, and Z. For that reason, I would rather her. But then there's people on the other side who think the same way, but in reverse, right? The inverse. They think, well, I don't align with everything Trump says, but definitely do not align with what Kamala is saying and what she's promoting. You have some people that I'm not for that whole abortion stuff and the TG stuff that she's down with. So I don't want to put her up in there to come and experiment, and try out new shit. I mean, we're talking about the same administration, right? So that's also the interesting part. When you see these kinds of like what we just read here, right? Calling the people in the nation racist, misogynist because they voted for Trump, right? Now, keep in mind that this Kamala Harris was a part of the same administration that were openly, right, promoting and allowing inappropriate pornographic books for children, right? Remember when all that came out? Yeah, I did lessons on it about the kind of content that was actually in those books, for children. It wasn't even heterosexual alone. Like this was like straight, going back to Rome orgy type joint, and I mean, it was just a lot of perverse things that they were exposing to children, and they pushed for it that it was okay. That's something that they don't highlight though. They don't mention that. So what if somebody says, well, I don't want to put my children at risk, and that's why I didn't vote for her, because if I help put her in there, these things that they're pushing would affect me, and I didn't want that. So that's the whole point here, right? So does that make that person a racist or a misogynist? And that's what it comes down to. So you start to see now that, indeed, this is good because it takes that cloak off of a lot of these people's faces, and it shows you that, a lot of these women are actually crazy, man. You know what I'm saying? They're actually crazy. They want a free for all to run around and do whatever they want to do and X, Y, and Z and so on and so forth. And honestly, man, we just want the Lord to bring that time of Jacob's trouble, that judgment, because in today's day, there's too much freedom. People have too much, leeway to go and say and do whatever the hell they want to do. And they've become so accustomed to that everybody just opens their mouth and says whatever comes to mind. Jacob's trouble is going to be a reset back to the natural order of things. And after the time of Jacob's trouble, things are going to be put back in the proper order as they should be. Because the more this goes on, the more it gets out of hand, the more the world just gets worse and worse and worse. See, at some point you got to have boundaries. That's how order is built upon boundaries. That's the whole point of having laws, right? Law and order, those are boundaries. Laws are boundaries on which order is built upon. This world turns that and melts it into a spectrum. There's no, you can't go here, you can't go, everywhere is free range. Figure out where you want to be. Okay, but if that's how you think, that's not how everybody else thinks, right? So you can't get mad because you thought a certain way and not everybody agreed with you. But there's more, right? So rejoined a rising tide of rage, which I discussed in my column. This is really just hilarious, man. In my column this weekend, Reed asked, how do you interact with people voted for this? So you see, and this is similar to what happened during the demic, right? You had this sort of, this perspective as if people that are not in alliance with this, I don't know what to even call them, the leftist or whatever to call them, a view, are looked at as some like evil, dangerous, almost like a virus in itself, right? Go back and look at the old news clips during the demic, as to what they were saying about the people who didn't want to take the thing, right? The juice. Oh, these people. I'd go as far as to say they're murderers. You know, they don't. They're trying to affect the herd immunity in a negative way, and I can't be safe around them. And these people are crazy. You can't reason with them. Like, how can you sit there and say? And here we are. Right, here we are, 2024. Now what? Everything that the things that the C, you know, the WHO, that the CDC, all that came out and said, they came out and reversed it. So, and then these same people would jump on the next band. Oh, what? No, now you got, now as we're reading here. So how do you interact with these people who voted for this? Like, these people are. How do you even go about this? Right now, listen to this. It says, if you're an LGBTQ person, oh man, and you know someone in your family voted essentially against your rights, and you're a woman, Reed continued, do you recommend, just from a psychological standpoint, being around them? We got the holidays coming up. Calhoun responded, so I love that you asked this question because there is a push. I think just a societal norm that if somebody is your family, that they are entitled to your time. And I think the answer is absolutely not, she declared. But one thing that starts to become a more and more apparent is these people here of this mindset act as though they're so needed. Like like you act as though everybody else is gonna die. The world revolves around you, and people are gonna die because you don't want to give them your attention, or because you want to cut them off, or you wanna isolate yourself from them. All of a sudden, the world is gonna come down crashing. People are gonna start begging on their knees, coming to you, saying, "Oh, please, please, we're sorry for," bruh. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. I think the answer is absolutely not, she declared. Dr. Calhoun, however her name is pronounced, Dr. Cal, then contributed more to the madness. So if you're going into a situation where you have family members, where you have close friends who have voted in ways that are against you, it's completely fine not to be around those people and to tell them why. To say, I have a problem with the way that you voted because it went against my very livelihood. And I'm not going to be around you this holiday. I need to take some space for me. Hey, I'm sorry, man, but it is kind of funny, actually. It is kind of funny because in the sense that, okay, at the end of the day, now what? Now, and the reason why it's so funny is because it's very hypocritical. It is very hypocritical because this is like like I mentioned in the beginning of the lesson, a spoiled child who doesn't get what they want. They don't get what they want, so now they flip everything. They try to flip the table upside down. They try to turn this here, do all that, but it's all to no avail. Okay, it's to no avail because when you look at the numbers, man, this they said Trump blew Kamala Harris like out the water. So the majority of people are not in this boat, in this category. And then and you'll see as we keep on going, right? There's a whole hair shaving and this movement and this, and you know what it is? It's just another feminism trying to rear its ugly head through another avenue. And FYI, feminism goes back to witchcraft. I think you should very much be entitled to do so, and I think it may be essential for your mental health. So go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. But really what they ought to do is keep the same energy. Go ahead and run out there and do it. When things go bad, make sure you stay out there.
Challenge with the idea of how do you interact with people who voted for this? right? If you are an LGBTQ person and you know someone in your family voted essentially against your rights, or you're a woman, knowing that, this man was calling people the B word, JD Vance was literally calling Kamala Harris the trash and said, we're going to take out the trash. I know a lot of Black women were incredibly triggered by that. And if you then meet somebody and you know they voted for the people who called you trash.
First off, even they themselves, these people here themselves, have either insulted or referred to others by even worse terms, worse names. So once again, it's like that. Find what you can grab and try to exacerbate it to the max level possible, right?
Or if you're Puerto Rican, you know someone voted that way, do you recommend, just from a psychological standpoint, being around them? We got the holidays coming up.
So I love that you asked this question because, there is a push, I think just a societal norm that if somebody is your family, that they are entitled to your time. And I think the answer is absolutely not. So if you are going into a situation where you have family members, where you have close friends who have voted in ways that are against you, like what you said, against your livelihood, and it's completely fine to not be around those people and to tell them why, to say, I have a problem with the way that you voted because it went against my very livelihood and I'm not going to be around you this holiday. I need to take some space for me. And I actually
Oh, man. Okay. So there's another possibility. You can try to resolve those feelings with people who you previously liked or loved. It may actually help to discuss these issues outside of the echo chamber of your political associations. Of course, Yale University itself has followed this advice for years by removing faculty with opposing views for the general welfare of the community. You know what they say? The taboo of a polite conversation is politics and religion, right? Because you're always going to have people on different sides, right, that believe different things. It's the name of the game. Even though, if you really open your eyes to reality, at the end of the day, this stems from ignorance, right? If you really open your eyes to see what's going on, you'd understand that you're in the same shit, whether it was Trump or Kamala, because when you hear right wing indicates there's a left wing. If there's a right wing and a left wing, then there's a body that both wings are on. Okay? So the whole point is, it's the same bird. I don't know how many times we've been through this. It's the same bird. Okay? If you're flying on the right side of the bird and somebody's flying on the left side of the bird and the bird is going from New York to Jersey, you're still going to end up in Jersey. Okay? So what that means is the plans at the top level don't change. When I say the top level, I mean those behind the scenes pulling the strings. And guess what? If they see Trump and they're like, look, this guy is going to go against those plans that we want, they're going to take him out. Okay? They're going to find a way to get him up out of there and then push forward with those plans. Simple as that, man. So if you understood that, you'd realize, you know what, why am I even raging and spazzing? At the end of the day, it's not where the direction in which things go. It's not even going to be up to Trump or up to Kamala. Yeah, they're going to, play their role, right? They're going to play their role. And by that, I mean, hey, not every president was a complete puppet, right? By these elites. Remember, these elites, they have to actually pull these strings. And sometimes they try it and it doesn't go too well, but that's when they start bringing in the extra steps, right? The assassination attempts, to take this person out, the actual assassinations, the toppling of governments and so on, right? All of that good stuff there. But at the end of the day, man, the world is going in one direction, regardless of who's steering it. Interesting stuff. Jumping down. Now that is mental tranquility. The suggestion that it may be triggering to see family and friends is not unique to Yale's psychiatric staff. Across the country, women have begun or have been cutting their hair and joining the Korean 4B movement. Beyond no marriage, Bishkulsan, if I'm saying that right, no childbirth. Bione, no dating. Bisexu, no sex. One is quoted saying, I fear the handmaid's tale will become our reality. It is a curious response since figures like Reid blame white women for the loss. Trump won white women voters by 8 points at 53%. Harris actually fell slightly in the support of women overall. Conversely, roughly 43% of men voted for Harris. 40% of women under 30 voted for Trump. Yet I watched one deranged voter say, listen to this, that she is thinking of buying a Glock and shooting the first man who comes near her. So, like, is this something that somebody with a normal working brain or mind would say? And this is what I mean. The demons are coming out of them. Okay, the demons are coming out of them. And it's good because you start to see the true colors of said individuals. To hear somebody say, I'm thinking of buying a gun so I can I can blast the first man that comes near me because I don't like men because men voted for Trump. Like, what where does that even fall on the level of deranged reasoning? Probably on the very deranged part. If so, she would have an over 4 out of 10 likelihood of shooting a fellow Harris supporter. None of this is good for our nation's mental health, and suggesting that people retreat further into their silos does not make for particularly healthy advice. And then it goes on, so on and so forth. But that's the main important part right there. And ultimately, it all comes down to what happens when you deviate from the ways that the Heavenly Father has set. You have a society divided, right? Divided by political views, divided by gender, divided by color, and all of those things, and so on and so forth. If you follow the ways of the Lord, yes, there is a division, but the division is a proper division. And it doesn't lead to this excessive level of unbridled freedom, but yet it's also freedom that is coerced, right? It's tied with coercion to go in the wrong direction. It's not even freedom to do what's right, it's more so freedom to do what's wrong. This is Proverbs chapter 9, verse 13. A foolish woman is clamorous. She is simple and knoweth nothing. And now when you look into this word clamorous, right? This is the word we have here. It says here, to murmur, growl, roar, cry aloud, mourn, rage, right? Rage, sound, make noise, be clamorous, be loud, be in an uproar, be boisterous. And that's what you see. Do you not see that? Go and just type in a compilation, put in compilation of women's reaction to election. And you'll see what's going on here. You see what I just read. You see a lot of synonyms here happening in them videos, right? In fact, it mentioned rage, right? And the author of this article actually mentions that. Let me see. I forget where exactly. Oh, here we go. Yeah, it says, as discussed in my book, The Indispensable Right, we have become a nation of rage addicts. Taking another hit of rage will do little to break that addiction. Yeah, that's what people have been conditioned to do. And you see it a lot when you're driving, right? The slightest thing triggers people, it sets them off. And the number one emotion they run to is what? Rage, anger. But it says here, right? She is clamorous, she is simple. And this is the word for simple, simplicity, naivety. Yeah, because these people are not looking ahead. The scriptures say that a prudent man looketh well into his goings. And it also mentions that he foreseeth the evil and hideth himself. But the simple pass on and are destroyed. And a lot of these women are going to be destroyed. And a lot of these simple-minded men too. They're going to be destroyed. Because they're foolish and simple and what? Knoweth nothing. And they're under a very weak vibration. So when hard times come, if this is the kind of reasoning that people have, they're not going to make it at all. And in fact, you would want to stay far away from them because that mindset is the mindset that gets you killed. You may have a good plan, but now you dragging on somebody like that, and now they ruin it for everybody. So this is really just like the beginnings, right? And we'll see how, you know, how this tumbles into a much bigger thing as time goes on. And we'll see, right? I'm curious to see how far this 4B movement actually goes. You know, does it turn into the next BLM, you know, where feminism grows into a seven-headed dragon? Let's see. You know, but at the end of the day, I just found this article interesting because it gives you an insight onto that mental side, okay, of a lot of these people, particular women, because that's what you're seeing here, that you wouldn't see on a day-to-day basis, right? You would have to maybe get with this chick, be with her for a while, and then you would find out, damn, this chick is a real demon once you get to know her. But because of a situation like this, now is put on broad, right, out there, so you can see, damn. You know what I'm saying? Like this is y'all wild, man. Anyway, with that, Lord willing, this is edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachak, Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.